So I am a mom, a wife, a daughter, a friend, a colleague, and I'm also a professional and natural investigator. So I spent 16 years in-house, well, 16 years litigation and discovery. 14 of those years I was in-house, and I also have my private practice at this time. So in the interest of time, I'm going to leave it at that. If you want to investigate me further, feel free. Oh, sorry, I missed that slide. And so speaking of investigations, today's topic is cutting time in an investigation quickly by removing the confusion to get to the clarity. That is today's topic. Okay, so there are several reasons that trigger investigations, and some of them are here on the board, but I'm going to focus on the ones that are most common. So you have human resources complaints, you have whistleblower tips and hotline calls, suspicious behavior. So this is just your standard, vague commentary coming into HR, and you don't really know much about it. Okay. So let me just get to the next slide. Okay, so typically we're dealing with the compressed timelines when you have investigations. And this is typically because HR could be reaching out saying we have to investigate some matter, we have interviews that need to be had, there could be something in the press that is very important they need to respond to, or there could be someone suspended and they need to get back to work pending these results. So we want to make sure that we're working on a quick timeline. We often have incomplete facts. So you're getting telephone. Maybe one employee spoke to another employee, and that employee told their manager, and that manager told HR. So now you're dealing with a vague storyline. So that's also a complication that we have to deal with. Oops, I'm going in the wrong direction. Okay, and so what are unique? Like I said, you have pending interviews, you have temporary employment discipline, you have ongoing workplace risk. Somebody could still be stealing money, so this could be something that you want to get to quickly. And like I said, you have missing pieces. So preserve first and ask questions second. So an investigation is typically a trigger for a litigation. So just like, there's a triggering event. If you have an investigation, you can believe that there will be a possibility for litigation. So you do want to put a legal hold in place. You want it to be silent because you do not want to trigger off the bad actors. You don't want gossip to spread. So you want to make sure that the legal hold is in place right away. Retention policies are canceled, so forth and so on. What to preserve? You want to cast a wide net. You want to make sure you're getting as much as possible from as many sources as possible. If you can, you want to get the entire computer, because at this time you know the very least and you don't know what you don't know. And so again, when it comes to these type of investigations, they're usually salacious. Some bad actors happened. So you're not going to find it in email. You're not going to find a memo circulating saying, hey, I stole this money. So you're going to have to look in these unorthodox spaces. You're going to have to look in Slack and in text messages, get the phones. You're going to have to look in all the places that people casually communicate, not in email. And so when it comes to data, the behavioral patterns, it's not just in the data, it's how the data is being used, right? So you want to look at exactly how they're using it. Login trails when they're logging into the systems, when it has to deal with, how are they forwarding their emails to their personal account? Are they doing bulk downloads? That's something that you want to take attention to, because that could be something where they're taking IP off sort, or if they're stealing. These are the places that you're going to find from their behavioral patterns. Thank you, Shrika. Okay, I'm going to skip this slide because I'm getting a 5-minute warning. So mine the metadata. So again, when it comes to these large sets, you're looking at thousands, millions or billions of documents. Your fastest way to cut through this document set is by using your metadata. It is key when investigations. So some examples are your custodian name, your date, your email domains, your folder name, your file size types, and your file types. This is one of those situations where if you do not use metadata analytics, you're pretty much wasting a lot of your time, which I point out again, it's really important. It saves time. And I'm trying to save time now, so we'll skip ahead. Okay, so let's see. So I'll go over these really quickly. So first, one of the tactics that kind of can narrow the data really quickly is you're going to cut by time first, because even though you got the whole computer, you can now narrow down on when you think that the investigation, when the incident happened. You want to say, okay, 30 to 60 days prior or behind, and make sure that you're looking at the most prevalent time frame just to start, because you still may have to go outside that window. Bucket by custodians, although you did gather information on all of the peripheral custodians as well, you want to focus initially on the primary custodians. Bucket by communication types, your chats versus emails. Again, you probably don't need to look at emails first. You're looking at your chats, your drafts, your text messages, etc. Okay, and so I wanted to quickly go through a sample investigation. I think I have time. Okay, actually, let me just see. I'll give you the shorter version because I know we are at a risk for time. Okay, so in this instance, John allegedly engaged in inappropriate conduct towards Sarah during multiple Monday marketing meetings. Allegations include commenting on how a skirt fit her, placing his hand on her knee at an after-work happy hour, and leaning in to whisper hello in a manner perceived as flirtatious, after which she appeared visibly uncomfortable. So You want to follow the data wherever it leads and pay attention to what's missing. So just keep in mind that when you're doing these investigations, you're also providing information back to HR or compliance, and you're giving them information that they're going to be using for their investigation, for their questioning when they're speaking to people. So you want to make sure that you're looking for what's not just what's in front of you, but what's missing. Because oftentimes if they're expecting to see something and it's not there, that's also a telltale sign that's worth sharing. Okay. Let me choose seconds. I just want to be on your slide. Okay, so I'm going to skip this for time as well. So we're going to start with some best practices. Be inquisitive. So try to answer the unanswered questions, the how, what, when, and where. So you want to take it back to elementary reading class. When you have a situation, they tell you to just think about all the questions that you want to ask. So you want to see who would be communicating. When would people have been discussing it? Would they discuss it when it happened? Would they discuss it when it hit the news? How would they communicate? Like I said, this is a short-term, situation. Are people speaking in, thank you, Sugar, are people speaking in taboo or unethical manners? So they're speaking in text messages. Let me hurry through. Okay. You want to create a Boolean search, something that will allow you to just get your initial set. So I had some examples here for you that would be quick in this scenario. And so things like touch, knee, skirt, felt, lean, uncomfortable, OMG, people speak in acronyms. Again, they're not going to say the words like harassed or hostile work environment. They're going to speak in layman's terms. So you want to be sure to look for those, that language. Okay, and let the data show you themes and patterns. So you're going to look at when you're looking at the data, pay attention to what you're finding. Are there, sudden spikes in communications? Are there these limited communications between 1 to 2 exchanges only? Are there frequency spikes in communication? So you're looking at also how they're using it and the patterns and the themes. And then lastly, follow the breadcrumbs. So as you're finding tips, you want to follow it. You may find yourself thinking one thing, and then when you find a certain fact or document, you may have to pivot and go down that trail because you don't know what you don't know. Again, this is an allegation. This is a suspicion. Doesn't mean that you're accurate when you first start. So you want to be sure to follow the breadcrumbs. And then one thing I wanted to add on this slide as well is what I find to be helpful. See if I can go back. Oh, here it is, sorry. So your deleted messages. Your deleted messages are usually golden. Somebody has probably deleted their dirty acts. You want to look there. Your voicemails now, obviously, they could be transcribed in your emails these days. So that's a good way to find that. And then you have calendar entries where people leave notes in them, or maybe they left somebody off of a calendar entry all of a sudden, and that could be a sign for retaliation. So you do want to look into that. So I have a minute left, so I'm going to go ahead and do my final takeaways. So for one, you want to have your narrative bucket. So you're going to have your narrative, put your search into some buckets. You want to follow your patterns and storylines. You want to find your facts and evidence, and you want to bloodhound the breadcrumbs. And then finally, solve your case. And just quickly, this presentation today was dedicated to my first manager and mentor in the e-discovery space, my dear friend, rest in peace, Warren Solo. Thank you.